Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
You're on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Also, check out our podcast below in the description.
Also, send this to your friends. We
Do it.
did a video, and we talked about it on the podcast the other day, Niners injuries after Jalen Hurd got hurt. It was a week ago, less than a week ago as we record this. And I said at the time, D Ford, Quan Alexander, there are guys on this team with some injury histories. Now, we don't know quite to the extent. We're not going to hear from Kyle. Maybe something gets reported. Shanahan won't talk until Tuesday after practice, so we might have to wait until then. But here's what we know, John. Sunday, D Ford and Brandon Aiyuk, something happened, and they both came off the field and did not return to practice. I think Mayoko wrote, what did he write? Aiyuk was an ankle and a calf, or Ford was a hamstring. Just guessing. People are just guessing based on where guys grabbed their bodies.
Aiyuk grabbed the back of his leg on a deep route, so I think it's fair to say hamstring. I think the D Ford calf, whatever, something below the knee. Yeah. They don't practice Monday, so if you're listening to Monday, I don't think the NFL has been pretty secretive just in general. You notice there's not. Like, they're doing a pretty good job. The only time when I find out who's playing who is when around the league is when players are asked. They'll be like, who's taking reps? And they're like, oh, Cam ran with the ones. The coaches don't say shit, which we understood was coming. This situation, like, we just know Aiyuk. Like, I don't even need to hear. Like, Aiyuk's no, he's a starter, right? D Ford, if he's healthy, is a starter. These are massive blows in the sense of massive blow to, I think we just remember. I asked you before the podcast, if I gave you the over-under for D Ford games this year, I'm not even talking about finishing the game. I'm just saying he dresses and he starts the game. You said, I think, 8.5?
I said 8.5 as you simultaneously said 8. So we are on the same page, half the year.
If I told you right now, if I could tell Kyle Shanahan, you will get 10 full games out of D Ford, but that's it. So 10 out of 16. We both agree he would gladly sign up for that, correct?
Well, I don't know about gladly, but he would take it, yes.
Well, not gladly. Yeah, I mean, they regret the move, but just the situation they're in right now, knowing what they know,
I would take it.
They would take the 10. I think the Aiyuk thing, a little freaky. I guess, it's not like he left practice or anything, just didn't. Let's just say he pulls his hamstring. I think it shows, though, this is what we've been talking about. Like, they're pretty dependent on him. Like, to me, they can get by without D Ford. They proved that last year. Little less. We'll get into Kinlaw here in a second, but I mean, they're a hamstring away if he has to miss a couple games and not having Debo or Brandon Aiyuk. Which, let's just say week 1 against the Cardinals. Let's just say worst case scenario, they don't have Brandon Aiyuk, and I know Lynch told Kawakami they're not ruling out Debo playing week 1. What's the rush? Now the rush might be they don't have anyone else. So if he is 85%, I would have a hard time doing that guy.
That'd be 2.5 months, basically, from the injury, from the Jones fracture.
I think in a perfect world, they'd tell you, God, we'd love to just win a couple games without him and just have him come back when he's 100%. But
here's the other one sneaky that I shouldn't say no one's talking about it, but Richie James is out for the first 6 weeks now. He's not going to be back in time.
Could they win a game with Dante Pettis, Trent Taylor, and Kendrick Bourne as your starting receivers?
Papa loves Trent Taylor from the video I watched on Niners.com the other day that you sent me.
Do you think it looks weird when Papa's wearing a bunch of Niner stuff still? Like, it doesn't. It just looks
I thought you were going to say when he's sitting in a chair in shorts and it's halfway up his thigh.
No, I was just going to say that the swag. It's like,
it's odd. It's very Brady in Tampa.
Because, like, you see Richard Sherman. Like, to me now when I see him in the Niners, he, like, looks kind of normal. Or just whatever player. Like, after a little while.
I know, that's right.
I'd say Greg is like, God, this looks weird.
I'll tell you, the NBA guy like that for me is Chris Paul. I watch him like, he's on another team?
The one thing with the NBA, though, don't you get, like, a little numb of the movement?
No, I know. I'm kidding. But you're right.
The Niners' injuries, I've never seen anything like it. Now, part of it, you didn't mention this guy, and I'm not trying to jinx anything, but we can't forget, and this first year he was healthy and unreal. Nick Bosa tore his ACL in high school and had a hernia surgery in college. Like, to just chalk him up for the next 7 years.
We did mention him in the last video, right? Because he got hurt twice in camp last year.
But wouldn't you say right now when people talk about Nick Bosa, they just assume, he's going to be a dominant player. And I think if he's on the field, he's going to dominate. But every time he goes down, and Kittle's a guy who's battled some injuries, right? And given the physical nature of the way he plays, It's
Weston
the Niners.
Richburg did get hurt the other day.
A lot of guys are just getting hurt. Now I did
DJ
see the
Jones
Ravens.
got hurt.
The Ravens are having a bunch of soft tissue injuries.
Yeah,
like Lamar, I think, tweaked it. Marcus Peters. Could it just be the NFL?
About this, yes. But this is a team with a high ceiling and not a ton of, we don't think, a lot of receiver depth. Certainly right now they don't have it, right? So
to me, this is always the hardest part. I saw Mike Tomlin was talking. They're just having like full-on scrimmages, guys getting fucking tackled to the ground. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it because you can say Mike's doing it right, but what if I told you that I always get the Watts messed up? TJ Watt, like what if he went down or Minkah Fitzpatrick went down and you wouldn't be able to sleep that night, right? If you were Mike Tomlin. But what if you don't do any tackling and you're healthy and then you get to the first game and you can't tackle a soul? You're like, well, we didn't do shit.
I hold this year. I don't hold it against any coaching staff or. I guess if somebody does something negligent, but I think this shit's going to happen to everybody. You just hope that it happens at a position where you have some depth.
I'd lean you'd almost have to do a couple practices with some tackling to the ground, right? Just because you can't just start week one, no tackling to the ground. Because the one thing college does, don't most college teams, I mean, you call week one games, do they usually say that they've had live scrimmages with tackling to the ground like the Pac-12 teams or no?
Yeah, I remember last year I called Colorado Air Force week one, and, Air Force, all their offensive linemen cut block. And Colorado had spent, like, time in camp cut blocking, which is a really dangerous thing to do to your defensive linemen, right? Diving at their knees. But they were like, if we don't do it, we're just not going to be ready. We just have to do it. So, yeah.
Air Force win that game?
Air Force won in overtime, yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that. Good game. You had a good call.
Thanks. I remember those days calling football games. So
yeah, I remember.
I should make a board for a game this year.
I bet you won't.
I have it. Well, never mind.
You want to call a mock game
I have
online?
A Niners board.
We could do a Niners game.
Yeah,
I'll be your Tim Ryan.
Okay.
Whoa! What a hit! Whoa!
So.
Yeah, I just it's something to watch. It's
let's
already.
Let's make sure they're healthy and good before we commit to that, John.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree there.
I just know this. We got 2 weeks before the thing starts. You can't have. There have been enough injuries now with them that are we in a danger zone with them right now, or would another injury put it over the top?
I just think the week one opponent, that Kyler Murray, they get a couple injuries on defense.
I'm just saying right now, the way the injuries the 49ers have right now, is this trouble or is it just
I would say no, given that you still got – you basically have 3 full weeks from today till week one. Like, guy, if 3 weeks from today, the game would have probably just ended, right? 1:15 kickoff is 4:30 as we're recording this segment. I mean, it's just kind of right in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Of when
Niners-Raiders was supposed to be Friday night, this past Friday night.
God, that sucks. That pisses me off. Niners-Raiders were going to play. I forgot about that.
Bears-Niners is coming up preseason this week.
Thursday night game?
No, I think it was a Saturday game in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, because they have another
week 3. They canceled week 1 and week 4 the preseason initially. So I think right?
I got
Didn't they keep the second and the third games?
Yeah.
But anyway.
You're right.
All right. Is it bad now or are they okay? Let us know in the comments below. And like this video.
Do it.